Today, every day, small cap investors visit Agoracom knowing this is the day to discover the world's next great company, to have their dreams come true. That's why I take to the open road, to find them, to tell their stories, to engage them, to bring them to life, because they want to connect with you from your office, your phone, your home, anywhere. Agoracom, find your dream.
Welcome to Beyond the Press Release, a production of Agoracom, in which we take the time to speak with small cap executives right after they put out important news. And he's got it again today. Our guest is Bernard Tourillon, CEO of HPQ Silicon Resources, trades on the TSX Venture Exchange under the stock symbol HPQ. For our friends in Europe on Frankfurt under UGE, and even for our friends in the US under URAGF. For those of you who are new to the story, and that's going to be a lot of you because there's definitely PyroGenesis spillover here into who their partners are, and HPQ is one of them. They're in the process of becoming a vertically integrated producer of silicon, silicon powder, silicon wafers, and other variations for the battery market. More than just lip service, they've got not one, but two NDAs signed. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And they've got a proven and advanced process, which they've partnered with world-class technology partners. You already know about PyroGenesis. They're the global leader in plasma torch technology. But Apollon Solar is also a critical partner, one of the world's leaders in renewable energy. So when we talk about delivering these silicon, these silicon products to the battery market, there's a great team behind it. Bernard, welcome to the show.
Thanks, George.
The headline we're talking about today: HPQ Silicon enters into confidential technical discussions with an advanced material developer regarding energy storage applications. That's a lot to swallow. Let me ask you the first thing, though. This is NDA number 2. What are you telling the world, or what does this tell the world about HPQ?
Well, first of all, the fact that we're signing NDAs early on means that we have something that is attracting interest. Second point, it's only the second NDA that we're divulging.
Okay, so there's more? We only know about 2? There's more?
Yeah, I'll sort of like...
And okay.
Just to put things in perspective, we are in discussions with many types of companies involved into the energy storage, battery space, and everything else. Depending on the size of the companies, they have different attitudes. So when you have sort of more startup or developing or advanced developing companies, they have more flexibilities to let you talk about what you're doing with them. And if you start talking to more senior players, they will basically make it very strict. You're not even allowed to say their name.
Okay, well, that answers the question of mine, which I said, are there more NDAs? A little further down, I've got questions saying, hey, does this mean there are other NDAs to come? I think you're already answering that question right now.
It's sort of like there'll be no more discussion on this, but the fact is that I think we have found with this technology we're developing with Pyro to turn our silicon into nano silicon, an incredibly interesting niche where not too many people are actually looking to do and doing what we're doing. And that's really what it is. I will just share one of those type of discussion I've had with some of the industry participants I've had, some senior people in the business. And everybody is trying to develop their own advanced material for battery space. And they all end up with the same problem. At university level, you can do something great. When you try to go commercial, you end up with a stumbling block, which is, oh, we need nano-sized silicon. How do you get that? But we've been working, and that's literally what we've been working on. That's where it is. That's why we say that we're basically working to be a producer of innovative silicon solution. It's the research is very clear. It's very technically feasible. The problem is making the silicon at a price where the battery manufacturer wants to use them, and where the manufacturer of this nano silicon can make money. All those advanced material companies end up with the same problem, which is, how do I get that silicon? Well, that's literally been what we've been working on with PyroGenesis for, I would dare to say, over a year, year and a half, and getting ourselves.
You've been working on it. Does it mean you've got it?
Well, you see, the definition of working on it, you have to be very cautious. My knowledge of the industry has changed tremendously. We've announced that we work with the NRS laboratories, and we've done some research and everything else. So when you do university level studies, okay, you're talking about sending 5 grams of material to test to create batteries and see how long its cycles run into it. Okay, so the quantity of material required is very, very small. Okay, so when we started this process, that was our understanding of what we were going to be looking to do, because we're going to continue to send it to laboratories, and eventually, you know, because there's different phases of testing. You take the material, you put it in fake like flat batteries, and then you basically calculate the charge of everything else back and forth, very technical and everything else. So that doesn't require a lot of material to start off with. Then you get the problem is, how the heck you scale this up? Well, you know, working with Pyro, our philosophy has always been, we always think scaling up commercial scale. That's how we think about it, how we work our process, how we work forward.
And Pyro, for everyone at home, remember, that's exactly what they've done in multiple other applications. They only commercialize something. They don't fiddle around for too long. So it's only fitting that that's what you guys are doing together as well.
Yeah, it's funny. I was in discussion with somebody in the advanced material business, and he says, okay, where's all the university literature, what you're doing? He says, there's none. We don't bother with issuing, you know, research paper. We bother about doing the technology to deliver the goods. And that's literally what it is. So fundamentally, you'll have to accept the fact that we're all going through a bit of a learning curve in the battery space. Me first.
But the world clearly thinks that HPQ PyroGenesis has something in the nano world, because this is the second NDA, and you're also telling us it sounds like there are others that you can't even really talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. And there's pre-discussion, pre-NDAs. It really depends how the other parties decide to work. There might be some that want, you know, sample first, then they sign NDAs. Another one want NDAs first, then we discuss material, what size, and everything else. So that's really what it is. So what's been going on, the funny part is, during this confinement part, you know, where everybody's sort of working from home, the end product requirements from the industries have become much, much clearer to us. So that sort of changed how we looked at the issue. And we had, you know, we had some very long discussion between PyroGenesis and ourselves about, okay, what do we do next? What's the next step and everything else? So what we're now looking at trying to do is eventually be in a position where our PureVap QRR technology's capacity matches where we're going to be in the nano silicon business. Because what gives us also a different advantage is the fact that we can go from quartz all the way to nanopart, which nobody really can do. And we could do it at a scale that the market's going to be looking for in a scalable way and everything else. So
the market clearly believes that you guys are there.
Depends. We have to be very cautious. I would say that the technical market is basically telling me that if I build it, they will come running. Okay. And my discussion with the guys of Pyro and my expertise with the guys of Pyro is, we will build it and we will succeed. Now we just have to, fill the gap.
And
fill the gap.
If it was almost any other company, I'd say, man, that's a massive if you build it. But we know that PyroGenesis has successfully deployed, on 3D printing military draws for steel mills, now for iron ore pelletization. It's they succeed at commercializing everything and building everything. So Bernard, that's a great sign what you're telling me, because they're already coming and they're telling you if you build it and you've got the guys who have built a lot that's
and what people have to realize is, okay, when we started this in 2015, 2016, there was a learning curve for Pyro with dealing with silicon, okay? And there was a learning curve for HPQ, okay? But now we're 5 years into this development. So we understand silicon. We get this very well. We understand how it works and everything else. And in addition, what we're fundamentally doing is sort of doing what they did with titanium, okay, but with silicon. Okay, so you can't follow the same process, or you can with different size and everything else, and with size of the market. But
it's the same principle.
So it's not even something that Pyro has the depth of expertise that few people have. And you have to realize that when we start talking about nanos, because, you know, I get people think everything should be done fast, and maybe, you know, in the past I may have made comments, you just twist the dial and it moves forward. Now I've known it's more complicated than that. Second thing is, when we talk about nano-sized particle, okay, we're talking, like, if I read the literature correctly, we have to do around less than 200 nanometers material for it not to expand. It's more technical, but people have to realize it's about the size of 3 COVID virus. So there's a lot of, you know,
wow.
You just don't make a machine. The problem
You're not building widgets. You're not building widgets.
Yeah, well, that's it. You're not building widgets, and the problem is, how the hell do you collect that material? There's health and welfare. You know, if you have nanoparticles, they'll get in your skin. They'll go through your skin directly in your bloodstream. So there's all those issues would make it. So yes, conceptually it's not difficult, but there's steps to do. Luckily for us.
Let me ask you a question, Bernard. If and when you build it, they'll come. When they do come, if and when they do come, how big of a market, how great of a market is that? And that's just one of your markets, right? But how great of a market will that be for you potentially?
Well, the market's unlimited. Yeah. In our press release, I think in the quote it says we're in the entire energy generation field. All right. So we're now going from a carbon based to a more different base, whatever the system is. And the key point to all type of renewable energies are not basically carbon based, is you need storage, energy storage. Okay? Everybody needs that. So the market is unlimited if you look at it. And specifically, if you look at one of the markets we're looking at is replacing graphite. So I've already discussed how big that market is. So the market is going to be, you know, 1,000 times bigger than what we're going to be doing. But something I understand about these type of markets, it is not because the market is massive that the price of the material is going to go up continuously. It's actually going to be completely reversed. I fully expect that we're going to have a massive S-curve, which basically demand goes up, but price really goes down on it.
Yeah,
and
which is where you want it to get to.
Yeah, and this is literally how I've focused and studied and designed the process we're developing with Pyro, and those are the constraints I've set up with Pyro when we started this process. We have we're looking at such a tight cost control that even some processes we've already, you know, moved out and says, okay, that's not going to be economical long term. It could be very economical right now, but not very economical long term. I've seen it too much in the solar industry where, you know, people come up, or we've all seen it in the mining industry. Okay, you have this deposit, everybody comes up with a beautiful PA worth billions of dollars and everything else, and then when you start building the damn stuff, the price goes down, your PA is worth nothing. And you know, look at Damascus lithium. So we've seen this. So since I'm not bothering with the mine, I'm focusing on the technology. I fully assume that the price of electricity is going to be completely down, and that's how we're focusing ourselves.
Yeah, but it's going to be a mass global volume. So that's where you want it. That's what you want.
Right now, we're in a small volume, massive price. And it will evolve.
$30,000 a kilogram. I remember you'd use that a couple of times.
It's $30,000 a kilogram, and maybe the worldwide capacity is going to be something like 5 tons per year, which is 5,000 kilograms. I think even less than that.
Which is still a massive market. Which is
5
times 30. It's $150 million just there, right?
Yeah, and if you look at our internal design plan, which I'll explain more later because they're, you know, they'll be subject to more press release on the subject. I think by next year, we'll basically be able to double the worldwide capacity production of what's being done. That's what we're looking at doing. So that's really what's been coming up. So one of the issues that's been happening is my discussion with industry participants is they're not looking for a few grams of stuff. They're looking for more for kilograms of stuff. So they're looking for kilogram capacity of stuff. And you need to be able to repeat it, batch it, and all those type of issues. So that data point has changed it from when we started to talk more about what we're going to do about this to where we are now. It's a much more complex, but it's basically a controllable complex. It's not something that's unexpected, but just happening faster than we anticipate. So this is where we are. So what this NDA shows that, we now have this advanced material company that says, I would need your silicone. So we're opening discussion. They're willing to sign NDAs and start discussing about this.
And you've gotten there sending silicon samples. Do you have an ETA?
No, we haven't sent any silicon samples.
No, sending.
We will be sending. Yeah, let's make it very clear.
Do you have an ETA of when you might be ready to send silicon samples and when they might be ready to receive?
The good news for us is specifically regarding this one is when they need it. Okay, because everybody has to readjust their plan because of COVID. So when they're planning on needing the material is when we're basically planning on producing it. So it comes out to be pretty darn good. But I'll come up more specifically with a timeline and issue and how we're going to do these things in the coming weeks.
Bernard, is it fair to say now that HPQ, look, you've got these 2 NDAs signed, clearly sounds like you got some other ones that we can't really talk about. Is it fair to say that HPQ is now on the radar of players around the world? And I mean players, the serious industry participants around the world. And if so, just to take a breather for a second, how great do you guys feel considering where you started from and where it is right now? So,
we feel very we're pretty excited. I know, Joe, we're pretty excited. We're very excited, but we're also very calm and focused. We've lived the first spike of excitement in 2015 when we thought we were entering the solar business, 2016 and everything else, and now we realize all the work that's there. So a lot of the things we've done in the battery space, we kept very, very quiet. So we're much more advanced. And there's a few issues that have been slowed down, not because we didn't want to slow them, but because of the COVID issue. Has nothing to do with the work with the university, what we're planning on doing. That's been slowed down a bit, other type of issues. But we have a very well laid out plan of where we're going to be going. So we feel very comfortable. We feel good about where we are. We feel very happy also that our partner is doing so well.
Well, actually, I want to talk to you about that. So how much stronger does it make, is HPQ today, knowing that PyroGenesis is knocking out of the park? We're not even going to talk about the stock, but knocking out of the park on his business side, and becoming stronger financially, becoming stronger in terms of technology and validate all that. How much stronger does that just make HPQ as a derivative, knowing that your partner is just achieving global success right now?
Well, it's attracting more eyes. I would dare to say, because I've been a partner of PyroGenesis for so many years, that there was always a bit of how can I say this? When people, you're working with PyroGenesis, great technology, but they're never going to make any money out of it. And I've been told that.
Well, I'm sure those people are eating a lot of dust today.
Yeah, I know.
$2.15 on a million shares traded.
Yeah. So if you look at it this way, so there was this time where, and as Peter says often, he says, investors do not have the full knowledge of what we know, and you cannot. It's just impossible, and we will not give it to you.
I mean, we try and do some of it here, but of course.
We try to share a bit of information, but it's often taken as a miscue. I still have question about solar business. I think I was pretty darn clear that, it's no more a business that we're looking at, but we're actually looking at resolving an issue of the solar industry with our QRR technology. I have to be much more careful now in how I describe our technology. So the primary technology we did, which we call the quartz reduction reactor, was a capacity to take quartz, carbon, turn it into silicone, cheaper than everybody else, more efficient, more small scale system. What we're looking at doing now is seeing how much we can incorporate recycled solar panels into the feedstock, okay, to still make the same type of purity material. Why we're looking at this? Because it's an issue that's going to come along. It's part of the circular economy. It's also it's being a good corporate citizen, and it resolves an issue in an entire circle. If it allows me to be even cheaper producing my material, hey, if I can be good and be cheap, hey, I'll do it. So that's one part of the process we're looking at, and we're also looking at downstream application. One of them we've discovered is with pyro, the nanopowders. But with Apollon, let's not underestimate this. They have a patented process to make porous silicon. Now that porous silicon is already,
now that's a silicon.
It's already nano-sized, but there's so many applications to that.
Give us a couple of the ones that excite you in terms of application. I know there's lots, but what are a couple?
In nano-side's the medical thing. Literally, it's the medical side. There's so many things we can do about this. But just to give you a few people know, it's like silicone, with pure silicone. If it dissolves if you put it it goes in your bloodstream, the acidity of your urine will basically, make it disappear over a certain time. And
I did not know that.
When you have porous silicone, you can put medication into that porous silicone, which can be time release.
Are you telling me these are potential new applications for us, or just?
There's been research about you put porous silicone on the oil slick and it sucks it up. There's many of those things, but the production process of making those are not very economical. But it can also be used to do the battery stuff, because the porous silicone is another one of those theories to resolve what's known as the expansion problem of silicon. So there's all those types. There's another application that's very interested in that Apollon's developed. You can basically use that type of porous silicon to generate hydrogen with water. So it's the application.
Now I know what you mean by the possibility, but you got to eat an elephant one bite at a time.
Yeah,
so for now, you're focusing on.
Yeah,
if you chase too many rabbits, you get none, and that's what I like about you guys, and that's what I like about Pyro. You focus on one vertical, get it nailed, move on.
But you asked me about the potential. So
that. Just the fact that you put porous silicon into your bloodstream. First of all, I would have put silicon into your bloodstream. You turn into the Terminator or something like that. And in fact, you're telling me it's got great.
No, actually, all the theories, all the development behind porous silicon have been for the medical field. That's literally what it's been. Now, the issue is way too expensive because they end up using ultra pure. Now, in the medical space, do you need like 9N purity, or is like 6N purity good enough, or 4N purity good enough? That we don't know. That's going to be another issue in completely other space. We're not there yet, but you asked me for another application.
Yeah. But for now, battery market. This company is energy storage. So let me ask you the last question, just because going back down the funnel now, regarding energy storage applications, is this battery manufacturer or for electric vehicles, or what kind of applications can you at least tell us what these energy storage applications are? Well, or is it batteries for electric vehicles?
No, energy storage means any type of batteries.
Okay.
It's anything that's related to batteries. It's not specific to one marketplace. It's one specific material, specific to the thing. So that's literally what it is. So, and we talk often about the size of the energy storage market, which is massive. I think I quote in my press release, there's going to be $71 billion invested in energy storage over the next few years, with the bulk of that going to batteries. But it's more than that. There's some people that are trying different type of process. The biggest problem you have with renewable energy is that you generate the energy when you don't need it. That's just trying to balance this out. Once you balance this issue, then it becomes like everything. Like right now,
the world becomes a different place at that point.
Yeah, it's going to be. And cars going to go massive distance and everything else, and you're going to be good.
Yeah, ships, planes, all of it. But in the meantime, Bernard, congratulations. I mean, signing a second NDA and telling us there are others. That was a nice nugget. That was a nice jewel to drop.
I didn't say there was other. They could be other.
And if they were, you wouldn't be able to tell us what you're saying.
Exactly.
But you're on the map. Congratulations. This is great. Thanks for kind of, help bring us along here, because it's an ever expanding, pardon the pun, but it's an ever expanding field, and having you on just to keep letting us know why these NDAs are done, where the market's going is really helpful. Can't wait to see what else. I'll end it with this. You take the floor for the last 30, 45 seconds here. What does the rest of 2020 look for? I know there are a lot of moving parts, but what are the big parts that we should look for in the rest of 2020?
It's going to be the nano size. Being in a position to start producing samples and start shipping samples, and so that that's really what it is. It's going to be. There's a lot of news in that pipeline coming online.
All right. And you can only guess there is. I mean, it's you can only it's not hard to guess that. But thanks for kind of giving us a peek at what's coming forward. Congrats. Have a great day.
Yeah.
And look, are you off to? Are you got to go back to the office now?
Yeah, I'm gonna go. Well, I gotta leave you. I'm gonna go back to my work now. Okay.
All right. Well.
All right. Take care, man.
Bye,
guys.
You've been watching Bernard Tudial, HPQ, trades with venture under HPQ. Get to Agoracom, do your due diligence, forget about Netflix, forget about social media scrolling. You've heard via podcast and you've watched via video what HPQ and PyroGenesis are up to, and the third-party validation of these NDAs says it all. Have a great day, do due diligence. Talk to you next time.